Hi, welcome on a new video. Today we're diving into this question. Ever wonder if your brain just makes stuff up? Stick around because this is going to be interesting. If you've ever seen the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, you might be asking yourself this question after watching it. The main character in the film erases his ex-girlfriend from his memory and in doing so loses the ability to form new memories. He then proceeds to make up memories that he pastes into his mind and presents them as fact to those around him, claiming that he was on vacation when really he was at home, or that his dog died when he was very young when really he was an adult. Ultimately, the film suggests that our memories are what define us, but does our brain actually make up memories? Sometimes your brain does make up memories. It fills in missing details with things that feel right, even if they're wrong. You might clearly remember events that never happened. This is called confabulation. It's not lying. Your brain truly believes it. Researchers have found that confabulation isn't a conscious act. Instead, it's an unconscious attempt by the brain to fill in gaps in memory. It happens when you can't remember something and your brain creates a plausible alternative. This is especially common when the gap in your memory is emotionally charged. So why does this happen? As mentioned earlier, confabulation is an unconscious process. It's not like someone is sitting at the control panel in your head deciding which memories to replace. Instead, it's a way for your brain to deal with the gaps in your memory. There are many reasons why this might occur. Sometimes it could be because the original memory was never stored properly in the first place. Other times, it could be due to damage to the part of the brain responsible for storing memories. Whatever the reason, the end result is the same. You end up with memories that are not real. One study published in the journal Neuron found that confabulation is more likely to occur when the brain is trying to remember emotionally charged events. This makes sense since your brain is more likely to remember things that are important to you. However, this also means that confabulation can lead to some strange situations. For example, imagine that you have a close friend. You know everything about them, where they were born, their favorite food, their hopes and dreams for the future. But one day you wake up and you can't remember anything about them. You don't know their name, their face, anything. This is a situation that has probably never happened to you, but it's not all that uncommon for people with amnesia. If you find yourself in this situation, you might try to make up for the lost memories by creating new ones. You might start thinking of things that you wish had happened with your friend and convince yourself that they did happen. Maybe you start thinking of a funny story that you wish you shared together and you begin to believe that it actually did happen. This is essentially how confabulation works. The brain is trying to fill in the gaps in your memory by creating new memories that seem plausible. Another study published in the same journal found that confabulation is more likely to occur when the brain is under stress. This makes sense since your brain is more likely to remember things that are important to you. However, this also means that confabulation can lead to some strange situations. Imagine, for example, that you're giving a speech and suddenly you blank out and can't remember anything. You don't remember what you were supposed to say, who you're talking to, anything. In this situation, you might try to make up for the lost memories by creating new ones. You might start thinking of things that you wish had happened during the speech and convince yourself that they did happen. Maybe you start thinking of a funny story that you wish you told and begin to believe that it actually did. This is essentially how confabulation works. The brain is trying to fill in the gaps in your memory by creating new memories that seem plausible. So how do you tell the difference between a real memory and a fake one? One way is to look for inconsistencies in your memory. If you remember something that doesn't seem to fit, it's possible that it's a fake memory. Another way to tell is to ask yourself why you think you remember something. If it's something that you really want to remember, it's more likely that it's a fake memory. Finally, you can also try to remember the details surrounding the event. If you can't remember much else about the event, it's possible that it didn't happen. In some cases, confabulation can be a sign of a serious medical condition. For example, people with dementia are known to confabulate. If you're concerned that you or someone you know may be confabulating, it's important to seek professional help. Researchers have recently discovered another way that your brain makes up memories. A new study published in the journal Nature Communications shows that your brain uses predictive coding to make up memories. This is a way of organizing and processing information in which the brain uses past experiences to predict what will happen in the future. In other words, Your brain uses what it already knows to fill in the gaps in what it doesn't know. This is a way of making sense of the world around us. We are constantly bombarded with sensory information and we can't process all of it. So instead, our brains use predictive coding to make predictions about what is happening in the world around us. This allows us to focus on the most important information and ignore the rest. Now, this is usually a good thing. For example, if you've seen a dog before, you know that dogs bark. So when you see a dog in the future, you predict that it will bark. This allows you to prepare for the barking and not be surprised when it happens. But sometimes your brain's predictions can be wrong. For example, if you've only seen friendly dogs, you might not expect a dog to bite you. In this case, your brain's prediction leads to a negative outcome. What does this mean for memory? Well, researchers peg this as a way of explaining confabulation. Our brains are always trying to make predictions about the world around us, and these predictions can lead to false memories. For example, if you have a friend named Sarah and you remember her telling you a funny story, your brain might predict that she told you this story because she thought you would find it funny. However, this is not necessarily true. Your brain might be making this prediction because it thinks that people are generally funny and like to make others laugh. As a result, you might end up with a memory of Sarah telling you a joke that she never told you in the first place. There are several ways that this might happen. For example, your brain might take a memory that you have and change it to fit your current beliefs. Or it might take a memory that you do not have and create a new memory that fits your current beliefs. Either way, the end result is the same. You end up with a memory that is not real. Predictive coding might also play a role in the formation of false memories. Researchers have found that people are more likely to remember things that confirm their existing beliefs. For example, if you believe that all dogs are funny, you're more likely to remember a dog doing something funny than a cat doing something funny. This is because your brain is always trying to make predictions about the world around us, and these predictions are based on our existing beliefs. So if you believe that dogs are funny, your brain will try to find evidence to confirm that belief. As a result, you're more likely to remember instances in which dogs are funny. This might also explain why people are more likely to remember things that are consistent with their identity. For example, if you think of yourself as a kind person, you're more likely to remember performing kind acts. This is because your brain is always trying to make predictions about the world around us, and these predictions are based on our existing beliefs. So if you think of yourself as a kind person, your brain will try to find evidence to confirm that belief. As a result, you are more likely to remember instances in which you are kind. Overall, this research suggests that our memories are not as accurate as we think they are. They are constantly being shaped by our beliefs and expectations, and sometimes our brains make mistakes. So the next time you're trying to remember something, keep in mind that your brain might be making up memories and it might not even know it. So does your brain make up memories? Sometimes. It's not lying. Your brain truly believes it. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment below on what you think. Does your brain make up memories? Like and share this video if you think it'll help someone else. And subscribe for more videos.